that era is like you could turn on, the top 40 station and every genre of music was amazing. It was original, it was unique, it had its own vibe, it had it, it was everything was so original. Um, but as far as like R&B and soul, which is my favorite genres, oh God, I mean, 90s all the way, Mary J. Blige, the Mariah Carey, the Whitney Houston, Celine Dion, and then all the groups of the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, all of them, SWV, Escape, and Vogue, and then the guy groups, Jodeci, Jagged Edge, Drew Hill. I mean, all this stuff is still on my everyday playlist. It's like mostly 90s and a little
Yeah.
2000s.
Yeah, from there, do you think to yourself, like, you want to be an artist, or was that somebody in your family told you, it's like, you know what, you should take this seriously because you got a great voice, and then around that time, did you like start develop songwriting?
No, songwriting came after. I didn't even know that I had that in me. um,
Yeah,
but no, it was a passion of mine because my parents were musicians and singers, and they were always in bands. Like they were always traveling on the weekends. They were part of a church folk group called Mass Production, and they were so adored, and like people literally came off the streets to hear them sing because it was like Sister Act.
right.
Their essence was so contagious. The voices were so beautiful, and so me and my brother, I have an older brother, they would take us to rehearsals. They would tag us along, and we literally take naps in like you know the keyboard case. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was always hearing music, and I think it was around age 10 when I started, like realizing like I could sing, and I just loved it. And I would say it was on my own accord, but I was so influenced in my childhood, and my parents really supported it, so I was fortunate there.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
songwriting came
yeah.
way later. Yeah.
Um, as as time went on, and as you start to evolve, by the time you became adult, what was like your early recordings? Like did you like do song covers, or did you have like songs you was performing it, before like as far as like way before you got signed?
Yeah, oh yeah, I have like secret demos that nobody's ever heard.
Wow.
I was just doing demos from other people writing. Um but then I started to learn how to write on my not learn, I just like tried it and I was like, "Oh, I could do this too." But yeah, as far as recording it was more demos. Performing, yeah, it was cover songs. I, went to New York City and did open mics and stuff like that. Um, just because you don't know where to start as an artist. It's
Yeah.
the field is huge. You just kind of trust that you're going to land wherever you're supposed to be, but you just go and do it, and that's the
Yeah,
blueprint.
absolutely. During around that time, did you find your sound at that point, or did that, start to evolve, as you got older?
What the writing?
Yeah, to write it and like just let the world know, who you is as a as a person within itself, but also a singer. Yeah, that's what I'm talking
Um,
about.
Everything came with experience, I never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that I would have learned so much in my life as a woman, as a person, and as an artist from what I've experienced in this music business. So I would say the experience helps me more and more understand who I am and helps me feel more sure of who I am, because with experience you learn like more what your purpose is. You know what I mean? So it's just a journey.
You know what? You definitely point that out when you said about the labels. You know, especially the 2000s. I told people that there was a shift going on because the labels that did support artists, regardless of the behind the scenes. A lot of execs was passing away, got let go, whatever business decisions. Some artists' contracts their publisher they didn't know was sent over to Sony or Universal and stuff. When it
Right.
got to that point that you was getting ready, now I want to know something like what was the song that you pushed to get signed to BNC? Well, before BNC, what like the labels that was trying to sign you in
Well, those came after,
came
um,
after. Okay,
because BSU Recordings is an independent label, and so it was more of me and the label type of deals. Um, but I was happy. I was happy where I was. I didn't like the contract. I didn't like the vibes. It just was not me. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, there was a shift around 2000, a little after 2000. Musically, definitely there was a shift. I remember maybe it was 2005. I turned on the radio and I was like, something ain't right here. I, music doesn't just, it's not feeling the same, So, but I always wanted to make sure that whatever music I put out was going to be like real good music. Like no matter what the trends are, no matter what the radio wants to play or not play, because nowadays, like mainstream radio, if you don't fit like the trend, they don't want anything to do with it really. But it's okay because now we're in an age where artists are literally building their own fan bases all over the world, and they may not be on TV or the radio, but they have a great following and people love them and love their music. So it all works out.
yeah, yeah, absolutely and stuff. And thank God for the internet where you could display that without having to go through the shenanigans and stuff. And I didn't realize you was on a label. Was it like a bit like 14 years already
hmm
and stuff.
Well,
From
2009
what,
ish.
2009.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, okay. Now, on your debut album that you put out on February 23rd, 2010, your first single, "Because I Love You." Now, record that album. From there, was it a decision? Okay, what would be the perfect fit for the first single? Did the first single hopefully do what it's supposed to do? We could try to pick the second one. Was it kind of like a team decision or your decision?
It was a team decision because we're usually on the same page
Mm,
somehow. Um, there's not a lot of, you know, heartbreak and those types of things because we usually try to make the best decisions that's best for the label and myself. So it's usually a team decision. It's usually a team decision.
yeah. What was you at when you first heard your song, getting played on different airwaves and stuff? And how excited was you when you got the response, man?
Oh, it was amazing. It felt natural though. It felt right because I feel like I had worked, towards that moment. So it felt, natural. But it was surprising the way it happened because it happened literally through reality TV was like my big overnight exposure
Yeah,
from VH1's Love and Hip Hop, the first season,
right.
very first
Uh,
season, because then they were playing independent artists. Like all their music was actually really dope. VH1 at that
yeah,
time, and they had a really long feature of my song "Here with Me." It was, I don't know, I think it was 30 seconds or over, and it was in a love scene. And so literally I woke up the next day with like hundreds of thousands of views, and Here With Me was like number 2 on iTunes. And I was like, whoa, 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 this is awesome. So yeah, that felt really, really cool.
Yeah, I could just only imagine, to have your song get played on TV. That's one thing, radio, but TV is like a whole different level, especially with this cable and and then plus, love for hip hop, to this day, all the reality shows like the most watched ever.
Hmm.
And to have your music played from there, that's saying a lot. It's kind of like, you know what? I don't care what's going on that show. I'm just glad they just play my record. I know, like that was like your thoughts in your head around
Yeah,
the time.
yeah. Well, actually, I didn't mind the watching the shows at that time because I don't know, they were new and
Yeah,
it wasn't like they are now. It's a little bit, it's a different feel now. But
yeah,
I didn't mind watching them, but I did also watch them to hear, to see, to hear the music. Hmm.
yeah. What was it like when your family, hit you up and it showed you love? I know that was the greatest feeling in the world, because it's one thing, get it from friends, something you can suspect, but what was it like to have your own family, congratulate you for that?
Oh, it was cool. I mean, my dad is like my biggest fan. My dad actually gave up his dreams of music to raise me and my brother, and so
Wow.
he's kind of lived through me, and I feel like I have kind of an obligation to, it inspires me to work harder for him, and my goal is eventually to get his music placed because he is my favorite songwriter. Oh my God, he's such a beautiful songwriter. And so yeah, my dad's almost a little too much though, because when I go home to my hometown, like we'll be going out to eat, and he'll be like, my daughter," and he'll like show my album, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm just trying to be like low key at home, like eating with my fam. But it's cute. It's cute.
Yeah, from there, now correct me on this, For the Lovers, was that the second single, if I'm mistaken, for the debut album?
Um, Because I Love You, For the Lovers, and Here with Me. I think For Lovers was third.
Okay.
I believe. It
Okay.
was
Yeah, because I
a
just want to
while
make
back.
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because coming from a successful single and they do what's supposed to do, you thought to yourself, like, okay, which one of these songs can, follow up, from there. And now, correct me on this, the other songs get picked up from TV network as well, just like the first one?
Yes. After that, my song Make It from my debut album was chosen as a theme song for Hollywood X's and Atlanta X's. And that was just super cool because it was about women, following their dreams. And they were kind of in the shadows, of the celebrity husbands. And so the song Make It was pretty fitting for the show. So that was super cool to have a theme song.
Yeah. I think it's awesome, because it's one thing to get one song picked up, but to have multiples, I think that's awesome and stuff. And people don't. I don't think some artists of today, as far as independent artists, don't grasp for that. It's like it's one thing you have one song to play, but when the TV network say, hey, we'd love to get more from you, that's a highlight. It's like take it all in that moment.
Yeah, and then
Um,
and then
Go
after
ahead.
that, I'm sorry.
I think good.
And then after that, my music was just all my music was just had little features and all over the place. It was hard to keep track of, but it was super cool because it was all the reality shows at the time. So that was awesome.
Yeah, how cool was it when you saw your name being listed with, all the other artists that have been around for a long time to see your arts, I mean, to see your songs chart? I know that from a kid to be like, man, somebody would have told you like this was going to happen, you probably be like, nah, I would never believe it. But I mean, when you saw your name, be, on there, I mean, what was the thoughts in your head?
Just happiness, just joy and peace at the same time. I mean, I still even get those feelings now, you know, being able to work and perform with, you know, icons I grew up with. And I was the vocal producer for the remake of Secret Garden in 2020 with Cisco, Raheem Devon, Sean
Yeah.
Stockman, and Omar. And so
Mhm.
being able to have their vocals in my Pro Tools and like, just have like their raw vocals and me work with them. And I grew up listening to them. So these things, these moments still happen.
Yeah, during that time, did you do like a tour, we call a tour, or you do like promo stuff, as far as like going to like being scheduled to go like radio interviews and television appearances and stuff?
Oh yeah, it was a lot of promo tours, radio interviews, appearances, and performances here and there. I was on the One World Tour with Babyface and Charlie Wilson and Frankie Beverly. Um, it was like, here are these legends, and I'm like, oh, here's this new girl. Um, but that was an awesome experience I opened up for them. That was cool.
Yeah, was it, during that time, did you have to used to like, it's like now on a regular day, it's like we all know what our sleeping time is. And then, I mean, they had to get up like 5 in the morning to do like 2 or 3 radio interviews a day, turn around, rehearse, and perform. And
Yeah.
did you think to yourself, like, I can't complain because this is what I signed myself into and stuff. And,
Yeah.
I'm just going to check it all in. Right.
Yeah, I was driven, I was super excited. It didn't really matter to me. I was just excited to do it. Um, TV is the roughest because that's, when you have to wake up, you know, like right after you go to bed, 3 in the morning, just to get prepared, hair and makeup, and get there and, wait around for like 5-10 minutes, because TV's so fast.
Yeah.
So I would say that's the roughest. But yeah, I just did it. You don't think, you just do
Yeah.
it.
And we got the news that when you got your first #1 record, and all the adult R&B media based chart with the Bill, which is considered like the Billboard, like the parent company. What was your thoughts going to your head?
Just excitement. I mean, I love that feeling. I love feeling accomplished because it's hard work, it's not easy. Like, there's this illusion of the entertainment music business is just like, you know, you just the red carpet's rolled out for you and you just like wake up and everything's handed to you. It's like, no, it's not it at all. Like, it's so much work, especially when you're fully involved in every aspect. So to see my name on Billboard and all the media-based charts and everything just was a great sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, for that song to go on for 20 weeks straight, that's accomplishment, because not too many independent artists could say that they were #1, on one of the biggest charts, in America. Well, you might want to say worldwide, and to run that long, it's one thing, you do it on a small market, but to have it all there, that's the greatest feeling in the world and stuff,
It
and,
is,
and stuff.
especially as an independent artist.
Yeah, and I know it must have been a celebration for you, your team, and the label. I know that was, great accomplishment
Mm-hmm.
for you guys.
Absolutely.
From there, did you work on the sophomore album right away around that time?
Not right away. It was because there was so much that happened with that album, like the tours, the promos, the promotional, appearances, and the songs kept charting. So, we were
Yeah.
riding the wave. We didn't want to, just like, you want your records to last as long as possible, to keep the life going, even though they do when you start a new project. But, there's a little sense of taking the light off something when you're like immediately doing something else. So, I think it's about 2 years later, I put out my sophomore album, Substance. And yeah, every album feels like an era to me because I
Yeah.
remember where I was in my life. I remember what I was going through. So when I talk about my second album, I'm just like, ooh, I'm transported to a whole nother, time. But that's the evolution of the artist. So Substance was I was very determined to like, because remember I said earlier, I didn't want to follow trends. Like I wanted the music to stay real.
Yeah.
And that was around the time that I was bothered that I was beyond bothered that like we were losing the soul and the R&B, like the real R&B.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's it. I'm putting it all into this album. And I'm gonna
Yeah,
like make a statement.
you're definitely right about that because I tell you, and like I done had, plenty of interviews with different artists, and it's only a small percentage of artists I have interviewed. They don't take the time to write off an album and get the best out of it. That the songs breathe enough life until it's time to move on from it and stuff. And especially when it comes to, I think, the problem with artists today, they try to chase what's out there. And they're not realizing that, R&B is rhythm and blues, rhythm and soul. R&B is a mothership. This auto-tune, trap, R&B, diva crap, that's ridiculous.
And what they're calling R&B now? Oh my gosh, don't even get me started. Oh,
Yeah, yeah, that's a
I
whole different conversation.
I know, no, I feel the same way. If it doesn't have feeling,
Yeah,
to me, it isn't true R&B or soul. You have to feel something, and clearly that's what we're missing. Not with artists, because there's artists worldwide, like I said, that are killing it. But the main what's being fed to the masses is not. There's not a lot of substance, which is
substance.
why
Yeah,
I
you're right
called
about
which is
that.
why I called my album Substance.
Yeah, you're right about that because there are certain female artists I hear and some male artists, as far as R&B, they were cursing their records. I'm like, leave that to the rappers. That's what they known for. That's been going on since the test of time. And I would never thought I heard a singer, would say B and EMF words, and I'm like, where is all this coming from and
Yeah.
stuff? And the bad part about it is that a lot of these platforms are now holding these artists accountable. I mean, true enough, everybody has a right to their expression, but R&B was never distasteful. This wave of
Right.
era is ridiculous. So
It is. And I usually, when I find new artists, or even the artists that have been out for forever, I usually go back in their older albums because the more I go into their newer stuff, I hear the curses and the auto tune, and I'm like, let me go back to 2010,
yeah,
or 2000. So I agree.
yeah, it's crazy. People don't realize these artists are really being pimped, and then you got some of the legends that kind of like not all of them kind of fall into that wave, and they're not holding. And they got some ones that's been around, that's been original. They're not holding these new artists accountable. Like, look, like what are you doing? Like, I mean, and then because at the end of the day, none of them will never be on the Billboard Greatest Artists of All Time. They'll never be in the Rolling Stones or anything like that.
Oh my God, I was actually gonna bring that up, but I was just like, oh,
Right.
that's too much. But oh my God, I'm so passionate about that because when I hear artists that I loved, like, in the 90s, and now they're trying to follow the new trend, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you're supposed to be the leader to get us back on track. You know what I mean? Like,
Facts.
get us back, on the right track, and like you said, hold these new artists accountable. Obviously, they have a right to express however they want, but are they really expressing that, they're following? And we need leaders.
That's true. That's true. Because I had a young lady hit me up and told me why does Summer Walker, Queen Naja, and I think it was somebody else said why they all sound the same, and I broke it down to her in the DM and stuff, and she said, "Wow, I didn't know that." I said, "Yeah, because the sad part about it is like if you love this music so much, you grew up listening to the originators, then you're supposed to pick up where they left off at. You don't have to be like them, but make sure you just got substance and feel it. It's like how many songs you gonna keep saying F this fool? I can't stay here. I'm like, like what's going on? And
Right.
every album sounds the same.
Right. And where's
Now
the
the dance is just
love?
being honest.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
where's the love in R&B music? You know, everything, it almost went from love to toxic, right? Like it's
Right.
toxic. The content is all about like toxic relationships. So it's just like somebody's got to bring the love here at some point, and I know that's what I do.
Most definitely. Now you as a writer, I know you got truckloads of songs in that vault and stuff. When it comes to like timing, some artists in the head, they feel like they pressured. And you be independent majority of your whole career, and you're not worried about the pressure this because you are done have taste of success. When it comes to put out, albums, where's the time is for you? You feel like it's right to put out a great project.
So I've been working on my next album for years because, you know, I would have loved to have it like just consecutive, like perfect, but life happens and life happened to me. And I
Yeah.
went through a whole bunch of stuff. And so I wasn't a clear channel. And when I write music, I like to be clear and I like whatever comes through to be easy, not forced. And so
Yeah.
I've been, like you said, I had tons of material, but I'm changing and growing so much that it's like, I'll write a song and then like a few months later, I'm like, I'm not even, like I'm not feeling that. I want to start fresh. So I think when you're really in a transformative place, it's harder to really stay focused on like how it flows and how you want your album to be. So it's been a little bit difficult for me. I still don't know how everything's going to thread. I have so many ideas, but it hasn't just revealed itself. So for me personally, I'm waiting for the
Right.
answers. I'm waiting for it to be revealed because I want to be in service to humanity with my music. It's not just about me. Um, I mean, it is what I love to do, but I also want to make sure whatever I'm doing is for the right reasons. But when does come out, which is hopefully this year, it's going to be good.
Yeah. Most definitely. Because I think, with sometimes, and I said this a couple times, when we're at a time where some people rush out projects, I always believe that, timing is everything to make sure each song, it's one thing, the public's view, you want to make sure that it makes sense to you yourself. And I
Hmm.
can just imagine that one minute you might feel this song the whole week. Next minute, like, nah, I need to run it back and
Hmm.
and
Yes.
add a little something.
And
Yeah.
another mistake that I make, or maybe other people make it, is I'll work on a song for so long to the point that I've heard it so many times that I'm like over it. And it's a great song because then I'll take a break for months and I'll go back to it. I'm like, this song is sick. Like, what am I doing? But because you're always listening to it, ear breaks is vital.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
And,
know?
and, and and I think some people get mistaken with classic and timeless. Classic, they treat artists like a one-hit wonder. Timeless is like, when people tell you, oh man, I like this song, that song, this song, I was going through some things, this song made me feel good. When you hear about your early projects, people tell you, all the time, like, wow, I didn't know some of these songs meant to them.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's what keeps me going when I, get messages from people who are just like, you helped me and you know, there's something about your voice that is healing, or this song really inspired me. So I would consider that, you know, timeless music, because even my music even heals me. And I never
Yeah.
really realized this till recently. I was going back and listening to a few of my more inspiring type records. And I was like, it was messages that I needed to hear at that time. And I was just like, oh my God. I'm like, I wrote that. I'm like, I needed to hear this right now. So it's interesting how that works.
Yeah. I think sometimes, you know, when as a recording artist, because I used to be an artist myself, it's like when you record songs, you in that moment, you don't think about those things, you know, you tell it a story. Then years later, when you do go through whatever it is personally, you be like, damn, I wrote something that actually happened, something
Yes.
close to that. It's weird.
Yes, and that's happening all the time. Like the more I listen to my music, you know, the earlier music, I'm just like, wow, this is, you know, this is right now. So it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of Omar Wilson, you know, he'll be on the label and stuff, another addition to the R&B. And B. And I think it's awesome, you know, to have a label that keeps that R&B tradition sound because usually a lot of times some artists are very knucklehead. They be like, nah, I want to do this and that. I'm like, you know, that's not R&B. That's just a bunch of macaroni crap. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And stuff. So
Yeah.
what's it like to that you work with Hill on a couple of projects? If you could name some stuff that you work on, or you could publicly, you know,
Yeah.
say you work on next.
Yeah. So I worked on Secret Garden. I produced that, and I produced a lot of his the songs on his Living Legend album, which is an amazing album. It's a combination of original songs, and he has a couple cover songs on there, but the original stuff is just straight R&B, and it's good. There's a couple songs that have a little hip hop edge to it,
Uh,
but it's good. It's, you know, it's good. It's not like shitty. You know, not like
yeah,
shitty hip hop. You know, like that. It has arrangements. It has feeling. It has emotion. It's not just like the dry stuff. But his Living Legend album, I worked on him with that, and The Secret Garden. Everybody has to check that out if they haven't heard that yet. It's amazing. The remake is
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. It's a nice video, you know, real laid back and stuff. 'Cause when I saw it first came out, I said, wow, you know, and when it comes to covering a classic, you know, and those are not easy to do. It's like you got to make sure you're on point with it because some fans are very cautious about song they love and so on. I
Oh
thought
yeah.
that you know all four did a good job.
Thank you. And it was very controversial. Uh, there was so many people who were like, before they even knew that it came out or they heard it, they were like, why are they doing this? You got to leave the classics alone, you know, the whole thing. But they're the
Yeah,
same people that comment underneath. So my thing is like, we're in a time right now where there you kind of have to do cover music to even be seen, because nobody really cares about original music unless they already follow and love who you are. And it's sad, but it's just the way it is. So it's like all the people that complain about, you know, remaking music, it's like, would you support their original song? No, but you sure downloaded and streamed this, you know?
exactly. You know, and that's the thing too, because I remember when I posted it and. It was like the same reaction on my end. And there are certain DJs I don't want to name, but they have this thing where like they will shit on a song. And I'm like, look, I don't know what you heard, but I think this song sounded good. And I'm very cautious of what I post on my page, media pages and stuff like that, you know. And I hate that because it's like everybody trying to follow that wave, you
Mm-hmm.
know, of negativity and stuff. And I'm a type of person, oh wait. I won't like a song. I won't say nothing. I won't put no piece into it, and I just move on to the next. But
Yeah.
yeah, some people just like to trash stuff before it even get started. That's sad because it kind of put a diss on what the artists try to do.
Yeah. And if you actually look at the comments underneath the video, 90% of people are like, "Thank you for doing this," like,
Yeah,
"Thank you for bringing real R&B back into the airwaves," like it's
yeah,
like real music fans are thirsty for this stuff, you know what I mean? And of course, me and BSC, we don't attempt a remake unless we nurture it and make sure it is the best it can be. We don't take it lightly. We respect it, but we believe in our production. We believe that we can deliver, and a lot of people don't like that because they're like, "Oh, you have the audacity." It's like, well, yeah, we do, but we're coming from a good place. You know.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. I think some people overthink and they don't really pay attention and stuff, and that's what I got to try to tell people. Take your time and understand, these are the things how it is. And some people just get overboard in their head. They thinking that, oh, well, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Hit me blue blind stuff.
Yeah.
but,
There'll always
but,
be there'll always
yeah.
be the haters, the negative. You know, it's just around.
Absolutely and stuff. And I want to say thank you, for coming on the show. I can't wait till your new project drops and stuff. And I can tell you this, you definitely made your mark in the music world, to,
Thank you.
achieve the success you did, to be independent, from the time you dropped your solo album and still going strong to this point and stuff. If you could give any artist advice that's coming up in his business, what type of advice you would give though?
There's so many different types of advice because my knowledge is vast. It depends how deep you want
Yeah,
to go. But
yeah,
overall, I would say, to learn the business as it's evolving because it's so different now than it was even 10 years ago. Know your power as an artist. Don't ever let anybody outside take advantage of you. Know your worth, stand in your power because a lot of times artists are treated as, you know, they're not important. For example, like you'll get hustled. I'll just keep it real. You'll get
yeah,
hustled if you don't have standards for yourself. Like if you want to perform, you want to get bookings, build your show, build yourself up and know your worth and say this is what your price is. Don't allow like venues to be like, well, we don't really want to pay you, but you'll get exposure. Or some venues are like, well, we want you to pay us to perform.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So I know it's rough out there because it's a lot of competition, but believe in yourself as an artist. Utilize all the platforms you can. There's so many new ones popping up social media every day, and surround yourself with people you really really trust because that's important.
yeah. There's a lot of snakes in this business.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
yeah, because that's what I try to educate people. Like, no matter what you got going on, there's always somebody trying to attach themselves to you, try to hang on, and you'd be like, no, it's not like that and stuff. And I done had a couple of run-ins myself like that.
yeah. And if you're not careful, there's people out there that try to sabotage what you're doing, and they try to take you down, even if it's emotionally. It could just be trying to break you down and making you feel like you're not good enough. I mean, it's all different levels of it. So just be strong in who you are.
Absolutely. Before I get off here, you can tell the people by end, where the kid they, listen to some of your cover singles, and the ones who haven't got a chance to listen to your early albums, where they can download it and where to follow you on social media.
Yes, you can download all my music on all digital platforms, worldwide, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, all the digital platforms. And my latest single is called Dreamin', and that's also available on all digital platforms. And also my one of my covers of At Your Best, the new version featuring Tony Exum Jr., saxophone player, very talented. I know he's in here. What's up, Tony? That's also available. We released that a couple months back in the fall, and I'll be working on my album, hopefully come out this year. And I would love to mention that I do have a very special collaboration I'm releasing next month with Sean Stockman. And it's
Oh wow,
yeah.
that's what
And it's
be hot right
a
there.
remake, another remake.
Oh, okay.
But it's you're gonna love it. It's I can't believe nobody's ever remade this song, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it's a classic. And so I'm looking forward to that. We're trying to get it out before Valentine's Day. So
That's the thing about covers. Some songs is like a hit and miss in this world. People only go for, I guess, whatever that's being played the most. And
hmm
some songs that have success, they don't get a lot of love. So yeah, it's kind of like fluctuate situations when it comes to
hmm
songs.
yeah. But
That's real
again,
true. But it's like,
yeah. But again, and like we were saying, the climate right now, you know, is rough for original music. It's just rough, you
yeah,
know. You just gotta build your following up to a place where people will download your music because they just love who you are. That's kind of the world now. Like, people want to feel like they know you, like they're close to you. Being one-on-one or like social media and stuff like that. They'll download your music because of that, not necessarily because they love your music. But either way it goes, it's still the same frequency because the music's coming from you. Um, so yeah, we're in strange times, but
hell yeah.
we just have to keep the substance and keep the authenticity of what we do. And thank you for shining the light on R&B
I
and
appreciate
soul
it.
music because, oh my gosh, you're an angel. Because not many people are doing that still. So thank you as well.
Yeah, I think I appreciate that. I try my best, try to give people a variety of stuff. I just didn't want to just be one of those type of pages that just post, where everybody do videos. I want to give people facts and, history. That's the main thing and stuff. So, and I
Yeah,
appreciate it coming from you and everybody else and stuff.
yeah, it's important. So
But with that
together,
being,
with our powers combined, we're gonna keep R&B alive.
absolutely, because that's one thing about R&B ain't going nowhere. Because you go anywhere, somebody's gonna play old school.
Yeah, and you know what? All overseas, all over the world, R&B is everything. It's not
Yeah,
just because it's not as important here in the States or I shouldn't say important because it is. It's not exposed as much in the States. There's people all over the world who, appreciate it. So,
yeah, absolutely. And thank you for coming on here. And I can't wait to hear the single you and Sean Stockton, a voice to man. I know it's gonna be good and stuff. And I can't wait. Be cool like to have both of y'all on there and talk about the song and stuff like
absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. That would be cool. And thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm glad we linked up.
Yeah, I'm glad. Hey, I'm glad. I thought to myself, say, dang, we've been, like, been following each other for like 4 years. I'm like, it's time.
Yeah, it's time. Been
And
time.
stuff, yeah. But on that note, I hope you have a blessed night, and I can't wait to hear more heat from you.
Thank you so much. And you have a blessed night. And the rest of your new year, I'm sure we'll be in touch. But, you
Yep.
know, good vibes, good vibes.
That's right. All right, take care.
All right, you too. Bye.